plenty of indicators, if used in context, can improve your trading.
Now, technical analysis still tells a story.
I also think that technical analysis can also help to keep you out of trades.
Hello everyone and welcome to another Hola Prime podcast. Today we have a very interesting topic to discuss and we'll get into that in a second, but first let me introduce to you the two traders who are joining me on this podcast. The viewers are obviously aware of Richard. He's been with us on quite a few different podcasts. And we have a new trader with us today. His name's Ian from the UK. So Richard, Ian, thank you both for coming on. It's always a pleasure. How are you both doing today?
Doing really well, thanks. Being on a podcast last week again, time flies. Almost end of the month, but yeah, great being back with you. Nice meeting you, Ian, for the first time.
And you, Richard, and thanks, Sam, for the introduction. Yeah, all good in Sheffield. A wet and windy day, which is the normal, really, for UK weather.
Exactly. Well, for the viewers, the topic of today's discussion, so to speak, is will technical analysis still work, or technical analysis, sorry, still work in 2025? So it's quite a broad statement, but I think we'll have some very interesting takes on how the markets are moving and is it something that will evolve over time? So I guess we're going to open up the floor. We're going to just have a chat about it and see where it takes us. So technical analysis has obviously been used for, I'll say, decades now, right? And now with technology obviously becoming more and more prevalent, gone are the days where people used to literally draw the charts based on the numbers on a piece of paper and try and analyze it. We're way beyond that now, and I personally think that technical analysis might be losing its not value, but is slowly starting to evolve into a more data-driven kind of analysis. That's my personal opinion, but I would love to hear what both of you think about that. So, whoever would like to go first, please.
Sure, Ian, you start.
Yeah, I'll go in as the newbie, if you like. I think it definitely still has a place. There's technical analysis. It doesn't matter how much of a fundamental or a sentiment trader you are. If you don't have a technical analysis overlay on a chart, I don't understand how you could ever manage money. In other words, risk reward. Technical analysis is a great tool for setting an entry level, a stop level, and a target level. And without that, your money management just gets blown out of the water. I also think that technical analysis can also help to keep you out of trades, as well as put you in them. A good example would be Tuesday UK figures, CPI, inflation data. Big buzz still on inflation, obviously not as much as Trump, but and tariffs, but it's still at the forefront of most traders' minds. We get the UK data comes out stronger year on year. I think it came out 3%, supposed to be 2.8, stronger month on month. If you're a purely fundamental trader, you're going to be thinking, well, that's long sterling, I'm going to buy cable. But on your 30, I think we had a move of 30 ticks to the upside.
Yeah.
But there's a big technical level there in cable. And it's a cipher pattern, one of the formations that I look at. And it was 60 points away from it, where the target level for the cipher formation, before that data. So where's your risk reward? Where do you go long? Where do you put your stop loss? For me, I think you're better off standing aside and then actually looking for data that sort of says I should be selling sterling. So yeah, there's definitely there'll always be a place, as far as I'm concerned, for technical analysis. And I have to say that anyway, because that's my job. And that's what I do 95% of the day. So, if that goes out the window, then I've got early retirement.
Well, awesome. From my side, I definitely share your viewpoints there, Ian. I trade with a lot of price action based sort of strategies. But when it comes to technical analysis, 100% helps me with my trading or entry decision making, if that makes sense. Obviously, like you said, your risk management being very important, where you're going to place your stops, targets, those sort of things. So, technical analysis still tells a story, especially if it's like stuff like volume delta, things like that, where if you know how to read those sort of things, it gives you a really good sort of a magnified view of what the big players are doing, or say, let's say all the players in the market at that specific time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, the rise of AI, which you're probably going to be talking about a little bit later, or algorithmic trading, or EAs, whatever you want to
Yeah.
call it. I mean, they still mostly, I would say, still built on technical indicators, right, in their decision making. So definitely still has a place in the markets. It certainly helped me through the years. I think as a beginner trader, you start with 100 indicators on your chart. And the more you actually become more experienced, the less and less you actually use. So
Yeah.
that being said, I do not use that many, but definitely when it comes to actually, executing a trade, then it's definitely one of my top priorities to know what the indicators are telling me on the technical analysis side of things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree with Richard. I mean, especially one of the comments that you put in there about the 100 indicators.
Yeah.
Uh, they call it analysis paralysis, don't they?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you don't, you're waiting for everything to happen until you pull the trigger.
Yeah.
And I think that is one thing that a novice, I think the journey is quite important when you think about the journey of a novice. I mean, you start with real sort of basic technical analysis,
Yeah.
trend line support, trend line resistance, previous swing high, previous swing low. And then I think the more that probably works for a certain period of time. And then the more that you lose money, the more that you sort of delve into technical analysis and other tools. And I think you really can get swamped by um, analysis paralysis and
Yeah.
too many different and going off in different junctions. It's the web is awash with
Yeah.
gurus and different trading techniques, and there are a lot of different trading techniques. But I think as a newbie or somebody starting in the market, I think something like babypips.com,
Yeah.
that's a really good starting point for people that want to get just into the market and
Yeah.
go through the starting points of education. And also, what I like about that is that you can't jump to the end part. You can't jump into university and try and learn what they're teaching you there. You have to
Hmm.
go through these certain steps. And I
Yeah.
think I think an issue is as well with a lot of people that are learning and starting their journey, and from webinars that I've done before, is that we'd put um, what sort of trader are you? Are you a newbie? Are you intermediate? Are you advanced?
Mm.
And you'd get so many newbies that would jump on to
Yeah.
the advanced webinars,
Yeah.
and they'd get lost, and they'd ask so many questions that everybody else would
Yeah.
lose interest. And
Yeah.
it's you've really got to start at the start, and well, I don't think there is an end. I
No.
think education just keeps on going on, but
Yeah.
analysis paralysis, just take it steady and a slow starter, really.
No,
For
I
sure.
absolutely agree, especially with the indicator part. I think for a lot of beginners, they like to pile indicators on their charts because they're hoping it does it for them, essentially.
Yeah.
They want it easy. They want an easy kind of if A plus B, then do C, like a really simple kind of system, and they're hoping indicators have some magic power that can
Yeah,
predict the markets and stuff, so they just pile on. But
and
you're absolutely right. Yeah.
I mean, there are thousands of indicators. There are
Yeah.
thousands of EAs. You look
Yeah.
at the Trading View platform that I use. If you go to indicators, it goes on and on and on and on.
Yeah.
But there are certain arts to technical analysis, and I think technical analysis is an art that needs to be learned basically.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
mean,
one thing also that a lot of beginner traders, I think, make a mistake with in the beginning is when they do pile so many indicators on there, thinking that it's going to be like the magic bullet, they quite often like put indicators on there that, they don't talk to each other, like the conflict in information that
Yes.
you get. So, and then, you learn a strategy from someone like Guru online, and some companies just make a living of selling thousands of indicators.
Yeah.
Mm.
Go buy this and this, use this and this strategy, and then it doesn't work for them, which is also a big issue. And then they jump onto the next strategy using different indicators again, rather than trying to focus on one thing, trying to figure out what type of trader you are. Some traders, some might work better in scalping environments than swing trading environments,
Yeah.
that sort of stuff. So yeah, again, I've been there, done that.
I think we all
I've
have.
actually the other day, like, I don't know, on your phone, sometimes it sends you these little clips from back in the days. This is what happened 10 years ago or something.
Ah, yeah, yeah.
And I used to, like, back then be glued to my screens all day long. Thank God I don't do that anymore. But
Yeah.
so a lot of those screenshots that was somehow stored in my, I don't know, my G drive or whatever. I don't know how they even do that. Create a storyline. I was just looking at these charts and going, my dear, luckily I've got away from that sort of thinking, like just indicators all over the show. But yeah,
Yeah. I think it's the natural evolution of a trader, really, right? At first, I feel like it can go both ways. You have the newbie who understands that they are very new and they're looking for the magic bullet through indicators, EAs, whatever it might be. And then you have the newbie who just dives in, might get a bit lucky with certain trades, overconfident. The Dunning-Kruger effect kicks in, and he thinks he's a lot better than he really is until he gets humbled naturally.
yeah,
So you have that, but either way, it's the natural evolution. I think as you evolve as a trader, you focus more on what actually is driving the market. You're trying to read a story at the end of the day. It's nothing magical about it. It's essentially buyers and sellers interacting, and you have to look at where's the pain in the market, who's getting nervous. You have to look at the story, the people behind it, essentially, in order to kind of get a better picture. And I'm not saying indicators have no value, of course not. There are obviously plenty of indicators, if used in context, can improve your trading.
yeah.
But you know, taking whatever, two lines crossing as gospel or something, that, yeah, that's a slippery slope.
Yep.
I mean, news moves markets, as they've always said.
Yeah.
We've got volatility, high volatility at the moment. As I'm a predominantly I swing trade,
Mm,
so I'm looking for sort of decent moves in the market. You look at US 30 at the moment. I think it's 15 days. It stayed within a range.
Yeah.
You know, Maybe it's scalper's paradise. For me, it's hell. So
Yeah.
it's just it's trying to pick your markets.
Mm.
It's trying to work out what's driving the markets, and as Richard said, one of the most important things of trading is money management,
mm,
knowing where to get in, knowing where to get out. I mean, I, everything's evolving. When I first got into the market, there was no such thing as SMC, which is a smart money concept. That's quite buzzy at the moment. I've looked at different. I'm always open to different ways of looking at the market, and I'll always try to continue to sort of educate myself because I want to know or want to at least have a bit of an idea of what other traders are looking at. But I also think that some trading systems these days can be too wishy-washy, like
yeah.
breakout systems. You've got I don't know if it's Stacey Burke's the way that they trade. It's a breakout continuation, breakout retest,
Yeah.
or it's a breakout fail. Well,
Mm,
which one are you going to do?
yeah.
It's no, it's but you're always going to be right because it's going to do one of those three things.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at sort of back testing data, and that's one of the biggest things, and that's where AI can help now, right?
Mm,
Back testing trading systems and stuff like that.
yeah.
But I think to a certain extent, and again, going back to the newbie bit, KISS is great, keep it simple. And as you develop as a trader, then, develop more education, basically.
Really interesting.
Okay.
No, absolutely. And I think with AI evolving and becoming now very scary almost, how powerful it is. I think we're at a time, we're almost at a crossroads in human history where, like indicators of the past that were hard coded, right? You had to code them with simple set of rules. And then it can be quite complex rules, but nevertheless, they had rules, right?
Yeah.
And now with the amount of data we can access, like never before, we can analyze. I mean, with AI, you can analyze so much data in splits of a
Hmm.
second, and it won't be hard coded anymore. It can read the data. With machine learning, it can read it almost, maybe not quite like a human being, but it can break out of the constraints of being hard coded, right? And that is, I think, very interesting.
Yeah.
And it does, it does create a question. What is the future going to be like for retail traders? Because I'm quite skeptical in the idea that retail traders will have access to these complex algorithms anytime soon. I think it will take quite a while before it ever trickles down to the retail market. I think institutional levels, they will have access to this because they've got the funds. Um, I don't know. It's almost I'm not trying to predict what's going to happen, but it is a bit different to anything that has happened in the past, and that's I don't know if it's worrying, if it's positive. I really don't know.
No, I
But
Yeah. I
mean,
mean, just looking,
institutions.
sorry, you go first.
No, honestly.
All right. So, like, just looking at YouTube, obviously the algorithm throws a lot of trading stuff to me. Since we do post a lot of content on YouTube as well with Hola Prime. But this whole AI thing with DeepSeek coming out, different models on ChatGPT and all that sort of stuff. What I do like about that, though, is how it can actually, without actually coding knowledge, create you Pine script,
yeah,
coding or the C sharp coding, whatever your platform's going to be using, like almost instantaneously. But still, those things are still built on what data is it looking at. Like Ian was saying, those guys that actually looked at like news events and like social media and that sort of stuff. I mean, it gets quite complex. It's actually still up to the trader or the guy that's coding this to feed it the right information and as well as technical analysis tools like your indicators. Am I using Bollinger Bands, crossover strategies, whatever the case might be. So there's still that human element in there that I always say it's like compared to being a bus driver. The AI or the algorithm can do everything for you, but you still need to be in charge of it. You're more like a pilot or something like that.
Yeah.
You can't just go drop it into, I don't know, MetaTrader, drag it onto your chart and let it trade for you live without some sort of oversight from a human. I think that's the quickest way that you can actually blow your account. It can be very, very dangerous. But still, interesting how quick Lee, these guys can just go and put something, do me this and this and this, and it will write the code for you. I mean, I'm not a coder. I've got no bloody clue how to do that whatsoever. But very interesting stuff. That definitely is. But a lot of times, what people also overlook with this is they look at the graph, for example, in TradingView that doesn't backtesting on it. And historically, it shows is all of them, these beautiful graphs. But then you look at, like, for example, drawdowns.
mm,
Some stage you can sit like a 25%, 30%
yeah,
drawdown. You still have a positive expectancy in the end, but then you have to go ask yourself from a human sort of like emotional behavior side of thing, can you sit through a 25% drawdown? Probably
yeah,
not. Then you're going to start messing with the rules, change some things in the algo, then trade in life again, and you're just going to continuously do that, and it's not going to give you the right results in the end. So I do believe, yep, AI is great. Call it algo trading, EAs, whatever you want to call it, but there still needs to be that human element that actually, you know, controls these things. I mean, if it's your money that you're trading, you need to still be in control, right? Not
mm,
just hand it over to an AI. Or they say AI also these days, but is it really AI? I mean, is it just algorithm that's been
yeah.
coded? It depends on what sort of elements they bring in there, like news events, social media, reactions, and that sort of stuff. But yeah, that's just my 2 cents worth.
Yeah.
I
Ian.
suppose you've got to think where institutional money's gone as well in the last sort of 20, 30 years. Before it was, you had a bank trader that traded spot dollar mark, and there was a forward and a FRA guy, and there was, and then you had the prop trader, which is different from today's sort of
Hmm.
trading arena. What the prop trader could basically pick whatever asset he liked or she liked, and trade it if they saw value there. Whereas now, institutional trading banks, it's predominantly done by computers.
Yeah.
So, if you want to call that smart money, that's sort of where smart money has gone. But also, I do feel quite sorry for coders because to learn Python script, like Richard was saying, I don't know it. Um, I know a guy that is a very good coder, a guy called Ivo Luce, who's based in Dublin, and he's trained for years to learn to code. Um, we had sort of, let's call it a workshop in Barcelona in the summer, and the theme was AI, and we all got together as traders and went, what do you look at? What do you look at? What's this and blah blah blah. And what we were able to do was to go to TradingView to the open source code,
Mm.
put that open source code into chat or one of the other AI tools and say, learn this, and this is what this does. And then would say, right, learn this one, and this is what this does. Overlay A and B, and only
Hmm.
give me a signal when A and B works. Now, it was there was a lot of hiccups on the road, and there was a lot of false signals, and there was a lot of adjusting it and stuff like that. But if you're determined and you've got the time on your hands, you can now get a coded something that you can put in Pine Editor on TradingView, and it will give you a signal, or it will give you it's an EA or whatever,
Hmm.
which you would have had to pay somebody a lot of money for
Yep.
10 years ago to code. So
Hmm.
it's definitely, well, it's putting those guys out of work, that's for sure. In years to come, it's God forbid how many people are going to be put out of work because of AI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, one way that one of my colleagues has been using it only in the last couple of weeks was feeding all of our analysis into chat and basically saying, give me a bias on all the single currencies from this analysis that I've written over the last 2 weeks. And it will go through the 8 major currencies, and it will give, say, bullish, bearish, neutral, and it will actually give an explanation as well from the reports that you've written. And I predominantly look at single currencies and single currency baskets.
Hmm.
So for me, that's great. I want to get a strong currency against a weak currency. That's going back to the real basics of technical analysis and trading. But that's using AI to do something that I would have never thought of, really.
Yeah.
So it's how people are going to use it, and
And it's
develop.
moving fast. I mean, all these different models coming out now. Elon Musk just released his now as well. Can't, what's that? Gox or something like that.
Mm.
What's it called?
Yeah, I just saw this morning they reckon that's going to be the new
Yeah.
lead. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Well, no,
Because
but
he didn't he try and buy the other, didn't he try and buy chat a couple of
op
weeks?
open AI, yeah. Tried to buy
Yeah,
it, didn't he? Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, but I think you're absolutely right. I think it can definitely assist. But it's how you use it's with any tool, right? It depends how you use it. If you use it to your advantage in certain areas, yes, it can be advantageous. But I think if you just let it do its own thing, it's not there yet. The global markets, it doesn't matter what you're trading, it's so vast. There's so many different factors that can affect things. Unless AI is kind of, connected to every bit of information out there and can kind of like some super quantum computer or something, it's going to need some supervision.
Mm.
But the question, I guess, is how long until we get there? Quantum computing, things like that, that's probably closer than we think. We're really evolving quite quickly as a species, so to speak, in terms of technology. I question, in 30, 40 years time when I'm a old man, I don't think I would recognize the world. And
Well, I won't be here probably, so it won't be
Yeah.
my.
uh,
Scary times. Well, interesting, scary, I don't know.
yeah,
Both.
and and I
I mean,
wonder,
I say to my sons, I mean, one of them's, I say to train in a job where it can't be done by a computer. One of them's taken my advice, one of them hasn't. One of them's a carpenter, and one of them works in insurance.
mm,
So,
Um,
and you do wonder, how long these jobs are going to hang around for, really.
yeah, but that's quite an interesting point there. You know, pick a job that can't be replaced by a computer. That makes perfect sense, right? But I would trading actually, although it is pretty much computer based now, as a retail trader, since you're independent, right? Like, sure, if you're trying to work for an investment bank or something, it's unlikely you're going to get a job then, right? But as an independent person trading at home in your home office, no one can stop you from doing that. Could retail traders actually be AI immune in a weird way, future proof? No one can stop you from trading, right? It might get more difficult. There might be bigger obstacles, bigger challenges, sure. But at the end of the day, you're kind of in charge of your own destiny. And I think that's what attracted me to trading in the first place, right? You're completely detached from
yeah.
the outside world. If you start any other business, there's so many different, it's like a chain, right? There's so many different links in a chain. If something goes wrong, it can have a knock-on effect and actually affect your business. With trading, as long as you know what you're doing and you stick to the core rules, so to speak, you're kind of safer than most people. It's in such a
Maybe.
risky environment. It's very weird, but there is something
But
there.
also don't be against it. I think you need to embrace it as well,
Mm,
Mm.
Find ways that it might assist you. Maybe you don't want a EA or bot to trade for you 100%, then that's fine. But if there's any way that can assist you in information and decision making, then why not? As Ian was saying, it's like you should never stop learning as a trader. I think the day you do, then you're gonna wake up with a rude lesson. So always be open for things. That's at least how I'm taking things, and trying to research ways of how AI can potentially assist in my decision making. So
yeah.
that's where I am at the moment. Luckily, I don't have to code things, and I'm too old to do that now. Too, it'll take me years. But if you can use AI to help with that, and very importantly, go and test it, rather than something just running with your money without testing it properly, then I won't do that. I'm over that. But yeah, embrace technology, I would say. Otherwise, you're going to be left behind.
Yeah.
Mm, mm,
And I think what you've got to understand, got to realize as well is that this is just development, isn't it? I mean, this is just
Mm.
things getting not necessarily better and better, but
Yeah,
computers have developed the way that the globe trades foreign exchange. Over I was two phones and some squawk boxes when I was a lad, and now it's just nobody talks to each other. It's just EBS came in, which was called the electronic banking system, and that took away I think 90% of voice broking in the space of about 2 3 years. So
yeah,
that was a development. Before that, I had a connection at a company called Multi-Currency Mortgages, and what they did was actually switched people's, mainly institutions, but switched mortgages around from, say, it would be based in yen and then they'll move it to Swiss and then move it to the dollars and stuff like that. But, complex swing trading, if you like, but
mm,
moving cash around. And that was based on a bit of software called Smart Momentum. And this is going back years and years and years. And what Smart Momentum did was had loads of technical indicators on charts, and it would work out which ones are working and which ones aren't and throw them out and put a new one in its place. So, this is not new in trading. It's
yeah,
just it's just more open to the public and developing quicker than most of us like, probably.
yeah.
Quicker than I like anyway.
Yeah,
Do you,
same here.
do you think there's a potential for, like saturation in the global markets? I mean, people are trading more than ever. Like you said, algorithms are trading more than ever. This is probably at the height of, I don't think there's ever been more money, being traded in the global market, especially in the forex market, whether you're the forex futures, it doesn't matter. Pretty much all markets. Um, do you think there's as more money gets pumped in essentially and more money is circulated round, do you think it'll become harder and harder um, for traditional technical analysis to just to be a retail trader? Do you think it will be harder to spot certain patterns? Do you think you have to upgrade the way you trade, maybe change your style? And as it gets more saturated, uh, will there be more noise essentially,
Yeah.
Mm.
Um, what's your take on that?
I think fundamentally, not fundamental analysis, you need that background in technical analysis if you want
Yeah,
to learn how things work. Unfortunately, you're right. There are many traders that's entering the market like continuously all the time, whatever market they like trading. But I do find, and also being in the educational space for about 3, 4 years now, a lot of them are looking for the easy way out. They do not really want to learn. They obviously, those that fall off the bus are pretty much those that we either like coaxed into thinking it's easy to trade, bought a course or listened to someone that, going to make thousands of dollars very quickly with a little amount and that sort of thing. Those that do fall off, unfortunately, probably shouldn't be trading, if I can say that. So it's the ones that really like put in the hard effort and work that wants to understand things that actually make it longer than the guy that falls off like in the first week or blows his account or whatever the case might be. But those that do, I think, make it during the long run, definitely started with technical analysis somewhere. Now, like you mentioned, whether that's going to become more difficult, there's going to be more noise in the markets, things going to make less sense. Who knows? I mean, I follow very specific strategies and they still work pretty well for me.
yeah,
But you got that experience, you've been there, and but again, like I mentioned, just have the openness not to never want to stop learning, and adopt these challenges as they come, and accept it. It's just the way the world's working.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
I think brokers are understanding that as well these days. I think the broker attitude a few years ago, 5, 6, 7 years ago, was get the client in, get them trading. Um, Not necessarily churn and burn, but a normal retail trader, their traffic is go in with a live account, blow it, get some more education, refuel, blow it, get some more education, refuel, walk away. So it's normally like filling the car up 3 times before you scrap it, basically. But these days, it's far more about the brokers are far more focused on education, and they want longevity out of their clients. A book, B book, where are people trading? But also going back to the AI part of this conversation, I think the more that people get more spare time, then and the fact that you can do virtually everything you want to do on your phone these days, it is opening up the marketplace to a lot more people, a lot more traders.
Yeah.
yeah,
Globally as well, there's very few restrictions around the globe now where you can trade or buy crypto or whatever. So it is becoming a bigger marketplace. But I think with that bigger marketplace is a bigger um, arena for education. And I think a lot of um, institutions um, are realizing that education is key in keeping clients and
Yeah,
letting clients develop, basically.
yeah,
for sure.
absolutely. I think education is key. There's almost too much education out there, which conflicts with so many different strategies. I feel like beginners are bombarded with
Yeah.
They don't know what to pick, so they try a bit of everything, and it probably I mean, look, when I started, it took me, I think I wasted 4 years before I kind of landed, before I
Yeah.
became got to the realization it's not so much the strategy, it's more the discipline. It's
Yeah.
I wasted so much time. Every
Hmm.
every month I'll jump from a different strategy and I try to pick and piece
Hmm.
things together. But I didn't have the discipline, right? And I think there's so much information out there. Yeah, I think people are, especially if you're a beginner, you don't know who's telling the truth, who's just trying to get my money, who's, a flat out scam. It's very hard to
Yeah.
pick. So, uh, but ultimately, I don't think there's like one particular strategy is gonna, work uh, better than others. I think it ultimately comes down, and again, that's something you said, Richard, on
Yeah.
your personality, right?
Yeah.
You need to know kind of where are your strengths, natural strengths. Some people are very calm, patient.
Hmm.
Some people, a bit more nervous and a bit edgy, and they have to like play the stress ball or something, and just to keep themselves.
Leveraged, I think that's
Yeah,
cool.
and you got to figure out, which one complements your personality type, and then
Yeah.
from there, you know, build a strategy with a few fundamental, core rules that you just do not ever break. And
Yeah.
then, slowly, don't go from, trading micro lots to trading, couple of standard lots in from one day to the other,
Yeah.
slowly build it, because you're not going to react the same if all of a sudden you see your drawdowns, in like 20 times as big as it was yesterday. Even though it's moved the same amount, you're not going to react the same. So you have to just kind of
Yeah.
take your time with it, evolve naturally. There is no shortcuts. I think if you do everything correctly, I'll say within 2 years, you probably would have a decent grasp, but most people waste so much time,
Yeah.
being distracted
I
ultimately.
think the most important thing for any sort of newbie, and I think Richard touched on it earlier, is just to have a basic strategy and then develop it. But the basic strategy has to say, I'm entering the market here, my stop loss is there, and my profit is there. And, minimum of 2 to 1, or, you know, nice to get 3 to 1,
Hmm.
etc. Concentrating on money management and the R rate, and then, develop from there. It could be something quite simple. It can be Elliott wave, an analysis,
Hmm.
that can give you a defined entry, defined stop, defined target. If you're trading the impulse waves or you're trading the corrective waves,
Yeah.
uh, it can be a candle formation. You might look at outside bars, and you might look at, every time I get an outside bar and it takes over 3 candles, I'm going to use that as my sell signal. I know where my entry is. I know where my stop is. Where's my target? What R rate is it going to give me? And keep when you're just learning and developing, just keep things simple like that. Entry, stop, target. It's
100%. Keep it simple, right? The KISS method, or
Yeah,
or
Yeah.
or your way of saying things, or just as well, realistic expectations.
yeah,
A lot of these traders are drawn into that thinking of, like I mentioned, you're just going to make a lot of money and it's going to be very easy, and very quickly they find out that's not the way to go. So yeah, it takes experience, unfortunately, and takes a lot of hard work and dedication. Which is a learning curve to go through, that's for sure. Whether you can do that faster than it also took me about 4 years, 4 or 5 years before I actually sat myself down, looked in the mirror, and it's like, if you really want to do this full time, or at least, make some money of it, supplement the full income that I had back in the day, then you need to start sorting yourself out, which for me was a big problem with my discipline. It's just like, all over the place.
Mm.
Maybe I had a little argument with the missus, and then you go revenge trade the markets. You make a bit of money, you think this works and this is how I should trade, and that creates bad habits. And very quickly the market teaches you that it's always right and not you. So keep your emotions, your ego, and all that sort of stuff in check as well.
Yeah.
yeah.
There's no magic in a particular strategy. So many times I'll see people, they'll, I don't know, draw a trend line or a Fibonacci retracement, whatever it might be, and they'll be like, oh no, it has to reverse at the, 61.8. No, it doesn't. It doesn't have to do anything. No. There's no magic in any of these tools. But yeah, I think we'll pretty much wrap it up there. I think we covered quite a few good topics. And it's been, I think the viewers will find a lot of stuff we said very interesting. So Richard, Ian, once again, thank you both for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure.
You're welcome.
And we should definitely do this again, I think. Explore some more topics. I think the viewers would like it. Awesome. So thanks again. And to all the viewers, if you enjoyed this episode, hopefully you did, hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell, leave a comment, share it with your friends, join the Discord, do all that good stuff because it really helps us out and hopefully we're helping you out as well. So once again, thank you for watching and we will see you again very soon. Take care.
Perfect. Thanks, Sam. Cheers, Ian. Have a good one. Nice meeting you. Cheers. Bye-bye.